So listen to this. Since nothing fills my soul with as much joy as reading other people's horrible football opinions online, for my birthday, I decided to bait my own audience into gifting me such beautiful, well-thought-out takes as Prime Van Dijk is better than Prime Maldini. Incredible. Now, what in the world could have compelled you to compare Virgil van Dijk to a man who has been nominated to the Ballon d'Or 13 times, more than anyone ever aside from Ronaldo and Messi? A man who has played in 8 Champions League finals, more than anyone in history. A man who was already winning his first Champions League back in 1989, 2 years before Virgil van Dijk was even born, and was still being named by UEFA as the best defender on the planet in 2007, 3 years before Van Dijk made his professional debut. Next take. If Ronaldo didn't exist, Diego Simeone would have been considered one of the best managers of this generation. Really? Is he not one of the best of this generation? He took over with Atletico in 11th place, with more defeats than wins, spent only 10 million in that winter market and immediately sent him to 5th place, 2 points off of the UCL, while going out and winning the Europa League and the European Super Cup as well, only missing out on the UCL because, believe it or not, as crazy as it may sound now, not even winning the Europa League was enough to get him qualified at the time. Still, you know what he did next? He sold more than he bought in the next transfer market, earning 16 million in profit for his club, won the Copa del Rey and secured qualification for the UCL once and for all, came back, did the same again, now earning 34 million in profit, and straight up won La Liga, all while sending the club to their first Champions League final since 1974. And you know what? Yes, Ronaldo played really well that day and they lost 4-1, but Ronaldo assisted the third and scored the fourth. If you want to blame someone, blame Sergio Ramos, who forced them into extra time in the 93rd minute. Still, it wasn't over. Then Simeone spent 55 million before a more mediocre season, but made 33 million back the following one and sent them to another UCL final, this time taking Real all the way to penalties. And yes, it was Ronaldo who scored the decider in the shootout, but guess who scored the goal that led them there? Sergio Ramos. And sure, after spending 34 million the following season, it was a Ronaldo hat-trick who knocked them out of the UCL, but guess what? Next year, after coming out of the transfer market with profit once again, he won the Europa League again and the European Super Cup as well. But even if you were to add up all those transfer moves since his arrival, it would still add up to 8 million. For comparison, in that same period, Barcelona was at a negative 441 million and Guardiola at a negative 484. Even 3 years later, as Simeone won the league again, it was still at only 58 million spent. This is almost like a Mourinho at Porto sort of overperformance, but for a decade straight. What you should have said is that without Ronaldo, even better, without Ronaldo's Real Madrid, Simeone would have one of the strongest cases for not just being the greatest one-club manager of all time, but one of the greatest altogether. Next take. Zidane was never an elite playmaker, but his aesthetically pleasing control of tempo made him immortal. This is a decent take in the sense that Zidane was never a chance-creating machine, but why am I seeing all these comments? Like, look, this guy went a little crazy, but focus on the first one. Zinedine Zidane is the most overrated player of all time. Why has it become cool to hate on Zidane? He's not some YouTube compilation player. I feel like this generation has gotten so used to these new age robotic players that any slightly other different playstyle is instantly disregarded as practically useless. So they see Zidane, they see the way he moves, the little flicks and tricks, that effortlessness, and they instantly confuse him with some streets won't forget aesthetics merchant. And I can't stop from drawing parallels to the way that he went undiscovered for so long. You guys sound like Jack Walker in 1995 asking Kenny Dalglish, why do you want to sign Zidane when we have Team Sherwood? Zidane was phenomenal because despite playing in such an elegant way, he was insanely efficient. He won everywhere. In his first year at Juve, he reached the UCL final and won the Intercontinental Cup. The next year, another UCL final, another league title, and the World Cup with France. 2 years later, he comes back to win the Euros as well, soon moves to Real Madrid, already 30, wins them the UCL, the Intercontinental Cup, and the European Super Cup, takes La Liga the following year, and at 34, just as he was about to retire, he traumatizes Brazil and takes France to a third final, before getting a tad too upset at Materazzi. This is not adulterado, people. Get a grip. But speaking of that comment, another thing that stuck out to me among all that text was when he said that in the next 20 years, Ronaldo's GOAT status will be lost and he will be relegated to the level of Romário, Puskás, Di Stefano, Cruyff and Eusébio, while Messi and Pelé will remain top 3. Do you really think that the kids will watch all the 72 billion cold TikTok edits and not think this guy is one of the GOATs? I feel like the opposite will happen. I feel like Ronaldo is so iconic in almost every way, from his celebrations to all the drama and all the interview clips, that it will become inevitable, that it will become a literal legend, and that all his achievements will be even further blown out of proportion. He has precisely that same X factor as the likes of Maradona and R9, and that's key to cementing yourself at the very top of the sport. He's our Michael Jordan, and no matter how many goals the LeBron Jameses of football will score, they will never match his aura. Next, Dybala was a better pure player than Ronaldo. When Ronaldo arrived at Juve, Dybala, who had a 3-year head start, had 68 goals for the club. 3 years later, they both hit 100 goals in the same match. Yeah. This whole thing reminded me of that Eden Hazard interview where he goes on about how, in pure football terms, I am better than Ronaldo. No, there is no such thing as pure football. Those two words together don't add up to the sort of thing you're trying to convey. Why is dribbling more important than ball striking? Why is playmaking more important than off-the-ball movement? The same way De Bruyne looks for a pass, Haaland looks for the space to receive it. There are no playmakers without goal scorers, there are no dribblers without defenders. You guys gotta stop this madness. Ben Arfa will never be a better player than Haaland, no matter how many fancy words you put behind the word football. Next, pre-Ballon d'Or, Benzema is the 4th greatest striker of our generation after Suarez, Lewa and Zlatan. Plus, pre-Ballon d'Or Benzema wasn't even the best striker of that 2011 Real Madrid team. The man should have gotten the boot and Higuain should have stayed. Yeah, I kind of agree with both and neither at the same time. Look, I'm just gonna say this. 2022 Benzema, phenomenal player with a phenomenal story arc. It was really great to finally see him reach his final form so late into his career when no one really even thought there was a next level for him to reach. But it just doesn't have the same consistency as Suarez, Leo or Zlatan over his full career. From 2016 to 2018, Benzema was atrocious. Part of what made 2022 so interesting is that 4 years earlier, it'd be hard to press to find a Real fan who didn't think he was finished. And I do agree that Higuain was a superior striker in 2011. I mean, come on, remove penalties and forget Benzema. The man was outscoring Ronaldo. Even in assists, they were getting about the same. I can't believe people were shocked that he moved to Napoli and broke the Serie A's goal-scoring record. He should have always been playing at a much higher level, yet I'd have done the same. Benzema just fit Ronaldo's game so much better than Higuain, and I don't think Higuain was too fond of riding the bench, so it is what it is. Next take. Terry and Carvalho is the best centre-back partnership in football history. I love them, but no they're not. Again, it's gotta be Maldini and Baresi. Sure, that famous stat of 23 goals conceded in 196 games is actually fake. I mean, they played 13 seasons together. For that to be real, that would mean they were conceding on average about 1.8 goals per season. They actually played for 100 times together and conceded 298 goals, about 23 per season. That's what the Serie A meant in that original post that led all of this, but some graphic designer messed it all up. Still, the fact that people believe that just shows how unbelievably good they actually were. Going back for comparison, Carvalho and Terry conceded 131 goals in 158 games, that's about 0.83 per game, and still 11% worse than Maldini and Baresi. So, you know what? Next take. Alex Souza was the best player in the world in 2003, even better than Henry. Well, 39 goals, 40 assists in 63 matches, 1.41 goal contributions per match. When Neymar finished 10th in the Ballon d'Or while playing at Santos, he averaged 0.7, literally half of that. Add to that the fact that Alex had just led Cruzeiro, a massive underdog, not just to the league title, but the first domestic treble in the history of Brazil, while playing some of the most beautiful football I've seen in my life. France football should be ashamed they didn't nominate him. As for winning it, well, the Europeans will never take a claim like that seriously, but considering Nedved won it and not Henry, well, I'm just gonna say, if you're gonna go that far, you might as well, next take. If England win the 2026 World Cup, Harry Kane goes down as the biggest English legend of all time. Look, Harry Kane didn't just magically become about 55% better the moment he signed with Bayern. Just look at how Eintracht Frankfurt keeps on breeding new 70 million euro strikers every year. Marmoush signed with them and went from 6 goals in a season to 17, Ekitike from 4 to 22, Kolo Muani from 13 to 23. It's simple. There are more goals being scored per game in the Bundesliga, and the way football is played there makes it so that a higher percentage of goals comes from the strikers rather than the wingers, so the numbers are bound to look inflated. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make them a farmers' league. But you gotta take it into account. Kane still doesn't have a Champions League title. In fact, the only major title he has is a Bundesliga with Bayern, which also has some heavy context behind it. Let's say Kevin Keegan, for example. He went to the Bundesliga as well, won it with Hamburg, added the Champions League to that, and already had 2 UEFA Cups, as well as 3 Premier League titles with Liverpool, not to mention the 2 Ballon d'Ors. And no one talks about that guy anymore, but sure, Kane breaks some records with Bayern and suddenly he's the GOAT. Next take. Neymar reached his full potential at Barcelona but just didn't capitalize on it because he left at the wrong moment. Yes, in fact, I can have hot takes too, so I'll say it. I think Neymar should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2015. Yeah, I know, it's goddamn Lionel Messi, but in 2015, after a really good start to the year up until mid-February, Messi finished off his season with 19 non-penalty goals and 9 assists, while Neymar was on 15 goals and 5 assists despite playing 2 games less, so not that far off. However, if you look deeper, you'll see that in the Champions League, Messi scored just 2 goals in the 7 knockout games that led him to the title, both against Bayern, which is nothing compared to Neymar's 7 goals, 3 in the quarters against PSG, 3 in the semis against Bayern, and another in the final where Messi couldn't even get an assist. Come on, you gotta see what I mean. And, well, then Messi goes off for the summer, gets defeated in the Copa America final, comes back, ruptures his MCL, goes out for 52 days, and in the meantime, with everyone asking what would happen if Neymar was the one the team revolved around, he finally gets to answer that question and puts down 19 goal contributions in 8 games. The only problem was that, being just as stupid as usual, the Ballon d'Or, an award that was supposed to pertain to the calendar year of 2015, had its voting closed in October just before all of that happened, meaning Neymar ended up in 3rd, below even Cristiano. No wonder that guy left for PSG. It's just sad. I'm obviously not saying they should have dropped Messi, but come on, that guy can play anywhere. If they had just brought him down deeper, as they would later on, or just done anything at all so that Neymar could be given more control of the final third, maybe he would have stayed, and maybe MSN would have a different legacy than just standing by idle, as Real Madrid took 4 Champions League titles in 5 years. And maybe we wouldn't have to listen to such hot takes as Neymar at PSG was underrated. Yes, very. Next, Thomas Müller is top 5 players of all time. Relax. Joshua Kimmich has been one of, if not the best player in his position for years, but is overshadowed by others who are more hyped by the media. Yes, a full 11 of James Milners would come top 5 in every league in the world. Yes, but imagine 11 Joshua Kimmiches. Maybe not the goalkeeper though. Sergio Ramos isn't even remotely close to being the best defender of all time and is extremely overrated. I prefer not to speak. Edin Dzeko is one of the most underrated strikers of the modern era, consistently delivered everywhere he went, Wolfsburg City, Inter Roma, and still never gets mentioned with the elites. Yes, but aside from Wolfsburg, he only break past 25 goals like once at City and once at Roma, so... England should play Kane as number 10 with Maguire up front. Probably the dumbest thing ever, but I'd pay to watch it. If Wilfried Zaha came up now, it would be a £100 million inverted winger for a Champions League side. Yeah, because Zaha was never valued at 55 million and he never played for a Champions League side, huh? Atem Ben Arfa is the greatest talent football has ever seen. Have you heard of Lionel Messi? Goddamn. Yamal's girlfriend is just a Florentino Perez tactic to hinder Yamal. I'll just say one thing, never underestimate that old man. Phil Foden would be considered England's best player if he had moved to Real Madrid in the 2022-2023 season. Or maybe be riding the bench with Trent Alexander-Arnold, huh? Eden Hazard is the second best dribbler of all time, only behind Messi. George Best, Cruyff, Zico, Maradona, Futre, Baggio, R9, Ronaldinho, Okocha, and Neymar. Next, take one. If Yugoslavia still existed, they would have won 1 to 3 World Cups. Yes, I can definitely see that. Take 2, this PSG squad will win 3 to 4 more UCLs by 2035. No, you don't really understand how hard it is to win 5 in 10 years. Excluding the first 5, no one has ever done it. Take 3, Messi will come out as gay after his retirement. What the f***?